mabuhay. Now, Isuzu's always offered the MU-X as capable, dependable, and reliable. However, in previous generations, it's often described as lacking a certain panache, too utilitarian in both looks and nature. This new generation, however, promises to be a step up in all facets. Is this Isuzu MU-X LSE 4x2 a step in the right direction, or did Isuzu try to do too much? Let's find out. So let's start with the front, and up front the first thing you notice is the grille, which Isuzu calls the World Cross Flow Grille. Flanking the grills are bi-LED headlights, DRLs, and even LED fog lamps. Let's go to the side. Over here at the side is where you can actually get an idea of how big the MU-X is. Looking at it from this angle, it really looks long. Anyway, you get 20-inch alloy wheels. I normally don't see that stock on most cars, so it looks really big here. You have a step board, and that's basically it. Let's check out the rear. Over here at the rear, you get these nice LED taillights, and actually one of my most favorite angles of the MU-X is from the rear. You should really see it lit up at night. It looks really good. You also have a rear fog light, and not to mention, this also has a power tailgate. That's basically it. But really, to sum it all up, I personally really like the way the MU-X looks overall, because it looks like a very modern take on a macho looking SUV or PPV. Now let's go inside. So now we're inside the Isuzu MU-X 4x2 LSE. So just to get it out there, this is the top of the line 4x2 variant. The only difference between this and the LSE 4x4 are the drivetrains. So moving on. In front of me is a 4.2-inch multi-informational display screen that shows your various vehicle settings and information. So you can also change some of the safety settings from the advanced driver assist system. We'll talk about that later in the driving portion. So anyway, here in the steering wheel, on the left side, you have the controls for the screen over here, so that's your infotainment. And on the right side are the cruise controls, settings, and other settings also pertaining to the ADAS system. This is a 10.1-inch screen that has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so good. Down here is the automatic dual zone climate control system, so you can have your own temperature for here, and you can have your own temperature for here also. Gear lever to turn off the vehicle stability control, hill descent, and your parking brake and auto hold. You have cup holders here and a very small cubby hole. And no, I'm not kidding. It's actually very small. It's my only complaint here in the first row. I wish it was just a little bigger. Time to go to the second row. Here in the second row, the space is actually pretty good. I have to say, even if it's my driving position, it's nice. The headroom though could be a little better. It's not bad, but anybody taller than me might, struggle a little bit. But also, before I forget, since this is the LSE, effectively top of the line, the seats are wrapped in really nice leather. Moving on, you have a center armrest with 2 cup holders. In front of me, you have a socket, a legit socket, and you can actually plug anything here. That's 150 watts, and flanked by 2 USB ports. On top of me, you have the controls for the air conditioning vents here, and bottle holders on each side. But now let's test the space in the third row. So the space here in the third row is actually not so bad. Although my knees are really touching the backrest of the second row, I don't feel ipit or claustrophobic here. It's really not that bad. You have your own air conditioning vents up here, cup holders, and a small cubby hole for other stuff. And behind me, there's actually another socket so that you don't have to bother anyone in front to charge your device. And before I forget, it also has remote start. So now we're driving the MU-X. And before I get to really how it feels, let's talk about first the power. So under the hood is a 3-liter turbocharged diesel engine. It's the same as the one in the D-Max, and it's also the same as the one you find in the BT50. It makes 190 PS and 450 Newton meters of torque. It is then paired to a 6-speed automatic transmission. And I have to say that it's actually just really quite refined already, and I give Isuzu a lot of credit for that. I had driven the previous MU-X and it felt really utilitarian and very workhorse type of vehicle. This one, is so different. And I was really surprised at how refined and quiet this car is to drive. In the city, it feels like you're not driving anything bigger than a crossover. I didn't have a hard time maneuvering the tight streets of Metro Manila. I didn't have to look over just to see if I was gonna hit any curbs or any low potholes, anything like that. So it's such a breeze to drive in the city, and the engine's also quite quiet, and I didn't really hear it unless I really put my foot down, but I really didn't have to because the torque was enough for me to just get going with the slightest throttle inputs. Also, the next thing is the ride. Oh my god, the ride is so good. I was so surprised because this is a pickup based SUV, and it doesn't feel that way. Yeah, there are bouncy tendencies from time to time depending on the road condition, but really quite comfortable. There's no harsh dips in the suspension. You don't feel any crash when you go through a pothole by mistake. It's really smooth and very comfortable. The next thing I'd like to point out also, of course, is that this version, the LSE 4x2, comes with the whole suite of the advanced driver assist system. So those are the safety systems that, of course, make your driving more safe, which include the forward collision warning, autonomous braking, turn braking assist. Now, turn braking assist, according to the brochure, is if you're taking a corner and a car happens to be there, it will brake mid-corner for you, which is, I found quite surprising. That's not usually found in other safety systems, but nonetheless, the MU-X LSE has that. Moving on, it has pedal miss application, so that braking, so that's more or less like anti-SUA. You remember the SUA? Yeah, so it has a feature that will make sure that that doesn't happen to you. Moving on, it has also adaptive cruise control with stop and go. So there is adaptive cruise control like I'm using now because we're on the highway. So it's measuring the distance of the car in front of me, it's keeping a safe distance, it's applying the brakes and all that. But the stop and go, that's usually found in just other more advanced systems, and that is present here. Stop and go means that if the car in front of me comes to a complete stop, so will this car, and when it goes, this will move forward also. So after that, you have the automatic high beam, lane departure alert, blind spot monitoring, and rear cross traffic alert. So in other words, even if this is only the 4x2, it has the complete suite of the safety. So that's a very big plus. Apart from that, you also get 7 airbags. So to really sum it all up, the MU-X LSE 4x2 is a step up from what it used to be. I cannot stress how big the difference is from the previous generation to this one in terms of refinement and comfort and overall driving experience. So in terms of fuel economy, I think that the MU-X really has it in spades. In the city, I was able to do around 11 kilometers per liter, and on the highway, surprisingly, it was able to generate a number of around 16 kilometers per liter. This Isuzu MU-X LSE 4x2 retails for 2.110 million pesos, which is actually a pretty competitive price point. It's slap bang in the middle of not being too expensive, but not questionably cheap at the same time. But what I'd like to point out is that they did really do well with the MU-X. They've upped their game in terms of everything, refinement, comfort, and you can just add that to the bulletproof Isuzu dependability they've built over the years, which makes this MU-X actually not just an alternative anymore, but a top choice as well. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel below, and also please don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. This has been Pablo Salapantan of Yugo Auto. Paalam! Hello everyone, Pablo here of Yugo Auto. Now if you want to know more about the car you just watched, please scan the QR code over here. And also please don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as well. Once again, thank you for watching. Paalam!